Well, for me, I wanted to do the boxing because of the sport. I've always loved the sport of boxing. But then again, as a woman going into a man's sport, I wanted to be respected as a boxer. Because a lot of the gyms wouldn't even allow women to go into their gyms because, the woman-man things take your attention away from their man fighters, whatever. So I just always, it was easy for me because I was in there to tend to business, and I just wanted the ultimate respect of being a fighter. Not looked at as a woman, but to show that I could do it, with great skill and work hard and apply myself.
At the beginning, there weren't enough women to spar with.
No.
Did you have to spar with guys?
I
Of course.
I spar with guys all the time. The only time I would spar with women was when I was paid to go to Kansas City and spar with Samaya Nadi and Mary Ortega. But most of the time, I sparred with men all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Did they ever get tough on you? Like I'm going to show her she shouldn't be here. This is not a women's sport.
Believe it or not, I was, and I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but when I learned my boxing skill and I learned everything about the sport of boxing, I would study boxing. So, I was really, I had a lot of skill. So even with the men, I developed great skill. So they would, you're going to have some men that can really dominate a woman, but there are some guys that just can't dominate a woman. So, I never had any problem with that. But one time, me and my trainer, who was my husband, Larry Young, we went to a gym over in Hammond, Indiana. And there was a kid, we went over to spar, and there was a guy, and we had hooked up some sparring with another guy, and then, we did so many rounds, so then I went to fight with this other guy, and he came in very forcefully, trying to, just hurt me. So after the round, I went back to the corner, and Larry said to me, "Look, maybe we should just go on. He's trying to go to her, whatever, let's just," and I said, no, I said, I get my shot. And so the bell dinged, and we went in, and man, I tell you, Pepe, I put a whipping on him, and you know what happened? He climbed out of the ring. He climbed out of the ring.
Really?
Yes. True story.
Yeah.
Yes. So, all we wanted to do is be respected as a fighter. And in the sport of boxing, I have to say, in my career, a lot of women didn't get TV. I got to fight on ESPN. I got to fight on Tuesday Night Fights. I got to fight on pay-per-view. And I really believe it was because God blessed me with skill and the respect. I never went in with too short of shorts or anything. So the men, they learned to respect me. And even today, when I run into some of the men world champions, they show me the ultimate respect because they knew I was into boxing to become a fighter just like they were.
Yeah.
Yes.
You also have martial arts.
Yes.
Was that before boxing?
Yes, that was before boxing. I started martial arts, Taekwondo, when I was 14 years old, and I fought in open competition, which on the NASCA rating, North American Sports Karate Association, it was an open class. And what I mean by open, all the martial arts competed together. So you could see Kung Fu, and you could see, all the different martial arts we fought together. And I started at 14. I fought in over 1,000 martial art matches because there was times I would go to a tournament. There could be 11. I could fight 11 to 14 women in one day.
Wow.
Yes. And I won 14 World Martial Arts Championships. And then I just needed a new challenge. And I said, I'm going to try the boxing. I seen two women fighting on TV, and I thought, I'm going to go try to get me a world title. Not knowing the sport, just thought it was something I could do, I won all the time in martial arts, so I just had that confidence, And Yeah, but I did martial arts a lot longer than I did boxing.
Yeah.
Yes.
How different is it boxing from martial arts? I mean, it's punches, but in martial arts you also kick and.
It is so different because, like in martial arts, when you throw in your kicks and your punches, in martial arts you can use open hand techniques. You got your ridge hand, you got your back fist, so you got different techniques like that. And then also the biggest adjustment for me was in martial arts, your weight was always 80-20. I'm sorry, 80-20. So the front foot, you could pick your front foot up and throw your kicks and move and everything. Well, in boxing, you can't be 80-20. You find yourself on your butt. So that was a big adjustment for me. And like in martial arts, when you're using your legs and you're kicking, it's more like a long range technique. And in boxing, you're using your arms only. Even though I throw the ridge hands and the back fist and in boxing it was different because you had to have that 50-50. And when I first started, I would throw my punches, pop, 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 and then I would move too far away. And so Larry would say, well, you can't move that far away because you have to be there to be able to move from the punches and move around the punches, slip the punches. You can't be too far away to be able to attack again. So that adjustment in that distance, that was a big thing for me. But we worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. And I just learned the things that did carry over from my martial arts to the boxing because I learned how to shift shift my weight with my punches. So that kind of carried over from the, martial arts to the boxing. Fighting 11 to 14 women in one day to focusing on one person, the karate was much easier. I could fight 11, 14 women easy. By the end of the day, not even be tired. Boxing, 4 rounds when I first started, oh my goodness, I thought, what in the world did I get myself into? there was no, I said, oh my goodness. And at the time when I first started boxing, I was running like 2-3 miles. And after my first pro fight, oh no. I said, no, I need to step this up. So I started running 5-6 miles, 6-7 days a week. I took it to a whole different level because after that, all I needed to do was go through that first pro fight, and that showed me, oh no, this is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
So that's
you have to relearn.
You have to relearn. You can't be. And then people used to ask me, oh, do you feel like kicking when you're in the? No, because see, it takes 4 times the energy to lift your legs than it do to throw a punch. So no, I never felt like kicking when I was in boxing or anything like that. But boxing is a very demanding sport. You have to be mentally prepared, very mentally prepared, as well as physically prepared. So after my first pro fight, the girl that I was fighting, she fell out with a concussion after the fight. She was hospitalized for 3 weeks. Not only did I worry about her, but I worried about myself too. I thought, okay, well, this could have just as easily happened to me as it did to her. I need to go to work. I need to do more. See? But then you got to remember, at that same time, I was working a full-time job doing high-rise window cleaning. But let me tell you, nothing stopped me from living my dream. I wanted to become a world champion in boxing.
Yeah.
And I worked hard. I put in my time, dedicated myself, studied. I watched every fighter. My favorite was Sugar Ray Leonard. But I would watch fighters and I would study them. And I would look at the things they did wrong and I'd look at the things they did right. And I loved the things that they did right. So I took it but yet I made it my own because I wanted my own style, my own skill level, So, yeah.
Yeah. When you fought, did you like to study your rivals before the fight?
Yes, I did. Because when I boxed, I was a mover. I'd love to move, because I had to, because I fought with a disability. So I had to move a lot, move and stay out of the inside, no inside fighting. I had to, But the first thing that I would always look at is the fighter's footwork. I'd look at the footwork. If they're flat-footed, I'd say they are in trouble. They're in trouble. Because I knew how to move. I knew how to work angles. I worked a lot of angles and how to shift my weight. And when I fought in boxing, it was always like a chess game to me. I'm gonna get you looking at this, but you don't see this, and this is that's the one gonna get you. So it was always like a chess game to me also, you know? So,
You know,
yeah.
I've always wondered. You have to be able to tell in a fraction of a second the punch that is coming.
Absolutely.
How do you? Where does that come from? Is that preparation in the gym or a sixth sense?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
What do you look at?
I look at the chest. I always watch fighters' chest, everything.
The chest.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You can tell that a punch is coming from
absolutely,
the chest.
Absolutely. I could tell. And I could only look one spot. So I always kept them at a distance, a certain distance from me. I never fought a person where I would reach for punches, or you see what I'm saying? I never, because I sort of figure if I got to reach, them punches weren't going to hit me anyway. So why am I reaching? So I just learned, and I did a lot of work, Me and Larry, we trained so many nights over and over and over with footwork and how to counter and fading and faking and you know, doing little things and feinting and you know, I mean, we worked really hard on footwork, really hard.
Yeah.
Really, really hard on footwork because I had to depend on my footwork.
Yeah.
And being able to punch, going backwards and punching off my footwork as well as we'd work to the left, we'd work to the right, we'd work going forward. Just learning how to incorporate my footwork with my hands and my balance, absolutely.
Where does the power come from? The power in a punch.
For me, mine comes from when I sit down and shift my weight. I can sit here and shift my weight just sitting here in this chair and creating that power just by shifting my upper body. That's what I learned to do. I learned to shift my weight, moving my feet. That was things that we worked on that was really important. Yeah. Really important. Yeah. You don't even have to, you don't have to muscle. When people want to muscle a punch, it makes it slow. It makes it, it tires you out. But see, if you learn to just relax, keep them hands up, relax, and learn to just shift your weight, that's where my power comes from. And moving my feet, shifting that weight.
Yeah, because fans can see a really big guy and a skinny one. And maybe the skinny guy hits much harder than this.
Yes, because the bigger guy is muscling their punches. And they're muscling them punches. Where the skinny guy is nice and loose, them guys can crack you and knock you out quicker than you can expect to be knocked out. They can knock you out. The one kid, him and his sister that's here.
Fundar.
Oh, long, thin kid like that. He could knock you out. He catch you on the end of them punches. He could do some damage. But to look at him, you wouldn't think so till you got in there. You know, a whole different ball game. Yeah.
How sacrificing is the life of a boxer? It's a big sacrifice, isn't it?
It is a big sacrifice. And for me, it was different because I worked full time on high-rise window cleaning, washing on the swing stage, Bolson chair, 40-foot ladders, 120-foot boom lifts. But I would train, do all my running in the morning. I'd get up like 4:45. I'd run my distance, my 5 miles, 6 miles. I'd do like 1,000 sit-ups, but different types of sit-ups. And I'd do shadow boxing in the morning. Then I'd go to work. I'd hang on the buildings all day. And then in the evenings, I'd go home, feed my daughter, go to the gym, and then the real work began. Because then I'd have to do my jump rope. I'd start off jump roping. And I'd do anywhere from 5 to 10 rounds of nothing but jump rope, working on my footwork, number jump rope, jump rope. Then I'd do 10 rounds on the heavy bag, just working combinations. And then me and Larry would hold pads. Not every night did you see me in a boxing ring, sparring and doing. I sparred very little, actually. And when I did, it was normally like 6 rounds, 4 rounds. Most of my work that I did was on the bag, on the lot of pad work, because I had to be able to move my feet and shift my weight into my punches. So Larry would take the pads and he'd move it back as fast as he could, go on, and he'd make me keep up with him. and then he'd move it to the side, and he'd switch, and I had to switch. Then he'd turn off, and I had to throw, 3-punch combination, and so yeah, it was very demanding. But let me tell you, that when you want something so bad, you forget about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
You just want it so bad that you're willing to give up anything to get it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I was.
One thing is to have physical strength, but there's another strength that is very important.
Yes, that
Up here.
mental. With boxing, if your mental's not right, I don't care how big your heart is, how skillful you are, if you don't have that mental capability, you're not going to make it in boxing.
You have to be smart, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you have to have that mindset. You have to believe in yourself and have the confidence and the self-esteem, and the know-how. And that's why, when I got into boxing, I studied. I see all these fighters now. I studied from Sugar Ray Leonard to Marvin Hagler I studied all the fighters. And things that I loved they did, I took away. Sugar Ray is my favorite fighter of all time. All time. But I'd sit there and I'd study Sugar Ray. Was there things I seen he do wrong? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of times he'd get them feet side by side. See, that's the kind of stuff I didn't want to pick up. I wanted to make sure my feet were always in position all the time. But there was like a lot of fighters, even like Ike Cortez. I loved the way he threw his jab, so I knew I had to learn to throw my jab. Really nice, crisp jab. A jab in boxing sets up everything. So I wanted to have a good jab. And it's the easiest punch to throw. That's why I don't understand why a lot of fighters don't throw more jabs. It's the easiest punch to throw. So, yeah, that mental has to be there.
Yeah.
You have to study. The studying of other fighters and working on your skills and over and the repetition over and over. That mental, that's what gets you there.
So there's physical, mental, and how about spiritual?
Well, my faith.
And I'm not asking if you believe in
Oh,
God or
no.
I mean,
my faith has always been strong. And God has always gave me that strength to know that I can do whatever I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. I always had that faith. My faith is very strong. Without God, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I did. I wouldn't be able to keep that routine, training in the morning, hanging on the building, doing a man job, carrying 5-gallon buckets of water, cable, ropes, up to the roof. Well, I wouldn't have been able to do all that stuff. Without God, none of that would have been possible.
Yeah.
So yes, my faith was very strong.
So you're the creator of your life, right?
Yes. Well, God and me working together, nobody can beat us.
Yeah.
Nobody can beat us.
Yeah. And you got far.
I did, and in a short time. Because like I said, I really believe, Pepe, if I would have taken it more serious, now what I mean by serious is I took my training and all that serious, but I didn't know what could come out of it. I went into boxing because I loved the sport of boxing. You see? I didn't go in it because I was thinking, one day I could be a Hall of Famer and I could be being interviewed by the WBC. Never thought it. I did it because I loved, the sport of boxing. Now, and I was thinking and what if I would have had like a big promoter to put money in me and to move me? Would that make me feel better? No, because I came up the hard way. When the phone rang, we went and we fought. We fought everybody. We didn't care what they did, who they were, how they were, none of that. Yeah. We just focused and we fought. That was it. None of my bouts were picked for me. None of them. Yeah. I was born and raised in South Bend, Indiana. Most fighters, they say, okay, there's no fighters in the Midwest, thanks to Muhammad Ali and Aaron Pryor. And there's a whole bunch of fighters out of that Midwest area. See what I'm saying? Yeah. But they still said it when I was fighting. South Bend, where's South Bend? You know what I'm saying? So I had to make a believer out of them because I believed. My faith was strong. Yeah. I know from where my faith come. Yeah. And so, yeah.
And were you ever afraid?
No, 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 no. And I question that today because I'm thinking, I watch the fighters and stuff today and I think, what was I thinking? But no, I was never afraid. I was never afraid because I always prepared well. And you got to remember, with the martial arts, the crowds back then were so huge. And I did it as a young kid and I grew into it. I was 32 years old before I even started boxing. I had 9 fights in 1 year, my first year.
Wow.
I fought 9 fights in 1 year.
Yeah.
So see, I didn't have time to be nervous. I was just out there trying to have fun. Like I said, I didn't really know that I would be sitting here one day being interviewed by the WBC. Oh my, I always wanted to be a world champion in the WBC. But at the time, they weren't recognizing the women. But guess what? In October of last year, which you know, I was given an honorary WBC belt. I never thought in my life anything like that would happen.
Yeah.
That was just the most amazing thing to me ever.
Well, you earned it. You deserve it.
But it was something I just never expected. I was doing the sport to have fun. I wanted a world title, but I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. Should I say it that way? I didn't know the outcome, that one day I'd be in 8 Hall of Fames, born and raised in South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah.
And the National Boxing Hall of Fame got the party started. Once they inducted me, I was inducted in 4 Hall of Fames in 1 year.
Wow.
You tell me God don't work? God works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's been working with me and for me my whole life.
Yes.
My whole life. Hanging on the side of buildings, coming down, having the energy to still have the mindset to go to the gym. Oh, I got to go to the gym. Stuffing my daughter full of food, grabbing her, taking her to the gym. Oh, yeah, it's been a beautiful ride. I cannot complain. And like I said, I'm still being blessed. Being here at the WBC Convention in Germany.
And it's the first convention joined with men. There's been 3 women's convention, but now it's.
There again, God was working. This is my first WBC. We all planned to go. Oh, we're gonna go. And then we found out about the lady thing, and I'm like, wow. He's guiding me right where he wants me to go.
Yeah.
Right where he wants me to be.
In my father, when they wanted to push women's boxing, he said first, "My God, they're beautiful creatures. How are you going to put them in a ring and punch the hell out of each other?"
Well, I gotta respect it.
Angels. They're lovely. They're beautiful. How can they fight? But then he realized. I mean, he understood.
Yes.
The necessity.
Yes.
The core impulse that you're born with this energy
Yep.
that you cannot stop.
Yep.
And then in 1984 at the convention in Argentina, he says, in this convention we're going to talk about the right of women to get in the ring.
Yep.
And here we are now.
Here we are. Yep. Man.
And
But I respect your dad for the way he felt about that. Because, women, boxing, and now I even respect it even more. That I'm sitting on the outside looking in. I'm thinking, wow, what are we thinking?
Yeah.
What are we thinking? I mean, this is a dangerous game. And so absolutely, I respect your dad, always have. He was a great man.
Yeah.
He was a great man.
With what you just said, here comes something important. There's different rules for women. It's 10 rounds and 2-minute rounds.
Thank you, Jesus. Our bodies are not made to be beat on.
No.
I mean, the man's body's not made to be beat on. And now sitting here today and seeing what I see amongst my fellow world champions and just boxing all together, I truly understand. And do I feel women should be fighting 3-minute rounds? No. I'm glad they didn't even think of that when we were fighting. No. 2 minutes, we're good. We're good. And besides, who's going to pay us to be fighting 3-minute rounds? Because we're not going to get the pay. So what else? I mean, and when we were fighting, we didn't make any money. We were doing it for the love of the sport. So 2 minutes, oh, that's good for me. That's my opinion. All the women, they can say what they want, have their own opinion, but mine, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes. Yeah. And 10 rounds. That's it.
Yeah.
Remember how the men, years ago, they used to fight till the last man was standing.
Oh, yeah.
Then they went to the 19 rounds. Then they went to the 15.
Yeah.
No, you see, no, absolutely not. And I just hope that everybody really pays attention to the studies. Sometime in a sport, it becomes all about the money. But sometimes if you're mentally not there to spend that money or take care of your children or your family, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go to all the Hall of Fames. I talk to all the fighters, men and women. And there's even some women that I know that I think stay too long.
Yeah.
And we'll see more and more of that. Because, we all know the human brain isn't made to be knocked around. That's not how we were made. This is just a sport, And now, us women, yeah, we deserve to make more money, but, we don't need to be getting in there and trying to become men. Let us, stay, we can be women with skills and maybe better these purses a little bit, but staying too long,
Yeah.
it's just not good for man or woman. It's just not good.
Yeah.
It's
And
not good.
earlier you said that you didn't spar that much.
No.
As it turned out, it's the best thing that you could have done.
Absolutely.
You cannot spar. Spar is a fight.
It
Even
is.
though you have protection.
It is a fight.
It's a fight.
And I think I thought about that. See, I never had any amateur experience in the boxing. We went right from martial arts. Larry turned me pro. We trained hard, and I turned pro. But think of the men, 200, 400 amateur fights, sparring, fighting. Then they turn in pro, and that's a lot of abuse. A lot of abuse.
Sparring once, twice a week.
Gym wars,
just too
the
much.
worst thing. I've seen so many gym wars. It doesn't make sense. Even when I did, one time, like I said, that was the only time anybody has ever tried to really hurt me during the sparring session, except for, there was one other time where I had, normally when we spar, we wore 16-ounce gloves, and the other trainer wanted to put 10-ounce gloves on his fighter. But that didn't bother me any. I just didn't let her touch me. You see what I'm saying? But, the sport, it's a dangerous sport.
Yeah.
We all have to respect it for that. And like I said, you got these guys that have fought 400 amateur fights. Well, while they were doing amateur fights, they're sparring, they're fighting all these amateur fights.
Yeah.
Then they turn in pro and they're sparring even harder. And then they're fighting with no headgear. I didn't need that.
Yeah.
I didn't need to do all that.
No.
I knew I could win fights without being in there getting beat and pounded every night. I do not believe that you have to do 200 rounds a week to become a world champion. I'm living proof. I'm living proof. We do 4 rounds, 6 rounds. Not every night doing that. Thursday night, 4 rounds. That Monday, maybe 6, that's it. And then the rest of the time, I was on the bag. I was jumping rope. I was working on my footwork. There's so much. I was studying, sitting in front of the TV and studying fighters.
Yeah.
And I mean up close and personal, studying them, And I'm just a true believer. You don't have to do all that to become a world champion.
Yeah. And who is your inspiration?
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar.
Hands
you said
down.
it before.
Hands down. Hands down. I studied everything about him. And I studied Marvin Hagler a lot because, I fought softball. So he could switch. He could fight either way. But, I'm sticking one way. I wasn't one to try to fight this one to fight. No, this is it. the sport was hard enough to learn. So I shouldn't want to try to learn fighting conventional and try to learn fighting softball. I stuck to what I was good at, and that was good enough for me. There was other fighters along, like I said, Ike Corte, Larry Holmes. I watched how they threw that jab, pow, that jab. I see a lot of people measuring, or they'll throw a little. The jab to me, was one of my most important punches that I threw, was my jab.
Yeah.
I could double that thing up so quick, and I'd get them looking at it, and then I'll whop. I mean, it's just studying the fighters. And like a lot of the smaller fighters, I mean, I studied Kevin Kelly because he was southpaw, and I studied Hector Camacho because he was a southpaw. But then I studied a lot of the conventional fighters too, and yeah, I studied. So Michael Nunn, I studied so many of them.
Yeah.
So many of them I would watch. And now to see them today and to be standing alongside of them, I had never in my wildest dreams thought.
Do you believe in luck? Does luck has anything to do, any play in boxing?
Faith. I always base everything on my faith because I always believed that God would take me in the right direction. I don't know. I just never used the word luck. I just used the word faith. And my faith, my father used to preach, if you had the faith of a mustard seed, and that always stick with me. And my faith has always been stronger than a mustard seed. So I based everything on faith. I knew God would guide me in all the right directions. Can you imagine hanging up on the side of buildings all day long? You think I could get up there and hang 30 stories in the air if I didn't have faith? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I knew he.
Yeah. In a dream fight, who would you love to fight?
In a dream fight?
In a dream fight. I mean, any boxer from any time, from any period, who would you see yourself?
Katie Taylor. Serrano. There was some back in the day that I really wanted to fight that I didn't get a chance to fight, like Regina Hemlich. Some of them I didn't get to fight them, and it wasn't because of me. They didn't want to fight me. There's a lot of good ones. Now, back in the day when I was fighting too, there was two Serrano sisters that were very good. I'd love to fight both of them too. We tried to get a fight, even though I was lower weight class, we tried to get a fight with Christy Martin back then.
Yeah.
But Don King, when Larry approached him, he said no. Because they knew I was just too superior of a boxer.
Yeah.
And I could knock you out. I could knock you out with this. I could knock you out with this, whichever one you wanted. See, and like nowadays we see a lot of the fights, they're going the distance because nobody knows how to a lot of arm punches being thrown. I see a lot of them taking hits. It's just like, learn to roll, slip, move your feet, something. You see what I'm saying? Because I see this now standing, and boxing is supposed to be the sport of hit and not get hit. Not hit and get your eyes all cut up and your mouth cut inside where it's hanging down. That, to me, I don't like seeing that on a man or a woman.
Yeah.
We need better trainers to be able to train these guys to hit and not get hit. You can still put on a beautiful boxing show without and be in there and throwing them punches and without getting hit with everything that's coming or walking into everything, So
And
our sport, I love it. But
in your days, training was heavy bag, run, jump rope, hit the bag, spar. Today, there's a lot more things, nutritionists and strength and conditioning and blah, 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 blah. There's like new technologies. Has that made a different sport? Or
I think so.
Do you like the change?
I like old school. I like old school.
Yeah.
If you could have the fighters today, like you had back when Ali was fighting, and George Foreman, and Joe Frazier, and Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, them fighters like that, Aaron Pryor. them guys, them guys could fight. And they did it on road work, jumping rope,
Yeah.
jumping rope. I mean, that's what I did. I learned from them. I didn't go and sit in a. No, I love. If they can get to where they got in the sport of boxing, doing the workout that they were doing, I could get there, doing the same thing they were doing, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. Now I did calorie count. I did a lot of calorie count because I didn't want to be one to be overweight come fight time. You don't need to be.
Yeah.
All you have to do is calorie count. Make sure you're eating your meals 4 or 5 times a day and do your training. And the way there's no big secret behind it. The poor man diet: beans, chicken, rice, brown rice. I mean, there's no turkey. There's no big secret behind it. You just got to pull yourself away from that table.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure that you're eating small portions and eat 4 or 5 times a day. With the training, the weight's gonna go.
Yeah. Because a boxer needs to be a boxer 360 days a year.
Yes.
You're a boxer all year round. There's no boxing
Yes.
season.
And let me tell you why.
And you got to keep your weight.
You have to keep your weight. You have to keep your weight. You have to keep your because if you train, and see, with me, I was learning the sport, so I kind of looked at it differently. If I was outside the gym, then I'm not learning my skill. So a lot of times I just trained because I had to learn the sport of boxing. I didn't know this, I seen it and I watched it, but I had to learn it. So I'm not going to become throwing good jabs if I'm jabbing on Monday and then I don't jab again till the following Tuesday. So see, that's the reason I stayed in the gym. Even after my fight, I go right back to the gym because I had to learn. I had to keep learning. I was obsessed with learning the sport of boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I knew when my next fight come around, I wanted to be being able to jab, keep my hands up. You know what I'm See what I'm saying? Yeah. Move my feet, be able to fight 10 rounds and move and throw my punches and my combinations and be able to deliver and put on a good show.
Yeah. Are you still involved in boxing in some way?
No, not as much as we were, because for over 60 years, my husband, Larry, ran the St. James Boxing Club. And then before I retired, I started helping him with the kids at St. James. And then in 2020, we closed the club. So we were very heavy in amateur boxing. We'd go to all the tournaments, we'd take them kids all over the country. And then we'd go to the state tournaments, regional tournaments, nationals. We had kids fighting Olympic trials. Yeah. And in 2020, with COVID, we closed the club.
And what do you expect from this convention?
It's already been way more than what I expected. Sitting here talking to you, it's been way more than everything has been, wow, I'm happy. I love everything I see.
Because WBC...
to me, be straightforward. WBC knows how to do it. This is where I could just walk out and they have food sitting there for you, and then the best. I met the Sheik yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah. Yeah, and then he asked Mauricio, he said, do you know her? And Mauricio go, yeah, I know. I felt like a giant. It's just a respect. Because the women, we don't get the respect like that. You know what I'm saying? And then to have that respect, life is really beautiful. I have a documentary coming out. We're doing a screenplay for the movie. And another thing, I just turned 60 years old, and I'm not, I'm one of 12 children. We are still blessed to all be alive, but I was endorsed by a popcorn company. So now I have Sweet Magic Popcorn. Can you believe? Now you tell me, God is working.
Yeah.